Welcome to the Nomad Network, your first stop for complete and comprehensive Chicago Bears football coverage. Dive deep into analyses, updates, and all things Bears. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today and never miss a beat. Thank you in advance for your support. We promise to bring you the best because together we're unstoppable. Go Bears.
Yo, no maniacs. We out here in the YouTube streets with y'all, man, for some Nomad at night. Thank you for being here, man. It's about to be a pretty good show. Got some stuff to talk about here tonight. Still patiently or impatiently waiting for the season to kick off. You know, the first this coming weekend, man. It's gonna be the first weekend of training camp, and I can't wait to see what's gonna happen here, man, because we've been waiting all off season for this stuff to play out. And what we have for you guys tonight is a Bears conversation, but we're going to stop and talk about some of the potentials here, like we said we was going to do, all the way up into the end of training camp. We're going to throw some of these names out there so that you guys know what's available while they're still out there. And I do think everybody that we're going to talk about tonight is a true possibility for reasons I will explain myself, and these guys can fill in the blanks on whether they think about it. You guys can too. But either way, we're going to continue to do that throughout camp. And again, remember, as we're talking about these guys, it's not that I think it's going to happen right now. I'm talking about somewhere along the line during camp or right after camp. These are possibilities. And if by chance that any of these guys don't get picked up or we don't sign anybody, you know what that means? That means some damn good shit going on in the camp, and they don't need it. And that's a good thing. So with all that being said, thank you guys for being here. Welcome on in. We're about to have a good time tonight, this Sunday night, man. I'm feeling pretty good. Getting pretty rested right now, healing a little bit, man. But we'll get into how was, my week this week. Before that, we're going to alley-oop this thing on over to Canada. Hopefully he had a salad tonight.
No salad. When that was the homie Mike's birthday, we're supposed to go watch a football game, but I said, damn it, I can't do that. It's Nomad at night. It's Sunday, so welcome in. We went out, had a little bit of grub, had some sweet potato fries and chicken wings, and you know what? Watch this World Cup final, man. Not too bad. What up, Jay Grizz? Not too bad. What up, Gilbert, man? Good to see you.
Gilbert.
World Cup the World Cup final was okay. Big ups to Spain, that is, to the rest of y'all. The Spanish team wound up pulling it out. Unfortunately, Argentina had caught a red card midway through the second half, so they were down a man, and it was real tough sledding for Argentina after all that. But I don't know if any of y'all got to see the game before. Hey, Bearski, what up, Paul Ski? I don't know if y'all got to see the England versus France game on Saturday. No? Hey, let me tell you, one of the baddest soccer games I've seen in a long time. And why I say that is there was 10 points in a soccer game. In contrast, today's game was 1-0.
I don't know shit about soccer, but I do know that there are goals, kids.
Okay, so there's that. But look, again, 10 goals in a soccer game in a World Cup game hasn't happened since 1958. Just to give you a little context. But I came in, it was 1-0 France, and I'm all right. Let me watch this game, and I start watching this game, and France runs it up 4-0 before the half. I'm like, oh, this game's over. And halftime kind of comes, and real quick, England, it's the other way around. England was winning. France was losing. France turns it around second half. It brings it back to 4-3, and it's just goal after goal after goal after goal after goal after goal. It was wild. It was a really badass soccer game for all those soccer fans out there. But long story short, this whole World Cup thing couldn't have been timed more perfectly. It ended a couple hours ago, and we right into the offseason, right into training camp, right into NFL football, right where we should be. So it's been a fun-filled summer, and the summer fun continues on, but back to the real focus as it should be. And we doing that football thing once again, man. I'm super happy, super stoked, and I can't wait to see what the Bears really have in store and how this ensemble of characters mesh. That being said, my last little bit, Trip, what's cracking in your world?
Well, I know two more things about soccer. One is you have to get it past the keeper.
Yeah.
The keeper makes the stop.
Yeah.
And then also when they score, it's
go, 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 go. Yeah, you may hold it. Yeah, you may hold it for about a half hour. And there's things to be said about them accents, man. Some of these accents out there are just awesome to listen to, man. I just got to put that out there as well.
Don't hold that pose like that no more, Trips. I can see that being a meme.
Hey, settle down, Vice President. Settle down. Yeah, it's cool. Right now, I got a recipe that's gonna be new up on the Shea Trips page, Chef Trips, there at sportschicagostyle.com. Went through again, defined everything, so all the pages are tight. But right now the aroma of bean pie is in the air. Yeah, bean pie, Nomad, bean pie kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
No, not the ones from the temple. Not the navy bean.
Is there any other bean pie?
Well, I'm using pinto beans.
Oh, word. Okay.
See.
All right.
See.
You on your own, man.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that at home. I wouldn't do that shit at home. I'll scoop one up.
Yeah, I've been scooped it a couple of times, but it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out
to
that.
See, y'all talking about the ones from the temple, though, right?
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't know nothing about that.
I got a pamphlet. I got a pamphlet and a bean pie.
My brother.
Hey,
but yeah, it's pinto beans are a lot, I would guess, healthier than, let's say, a lot of other things that could be in a pie. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, there is a half a cup of brown sugar and a half a cup of regular sugar.
Oh, damn!
That's
but
that's a lot of sugar.
Well, it's a pie. Some condensed milk, quarter stick of butter, and then some allspice, some cinnamon, vanilla, and I want to say nutmeg or something else. No, ground nutmeg. So nice little
stick of butter, quarter milk. What's that shit?
Anyways. Stick of butter. It was something I remember too. But yeah, so got that jumping off, and looking forward to to the convo tonight. Looking forward to camp starting up in a scant few days. Was it like 9 days, 8 days, 10 days, something? And happy to be able to go outside and breathe again. Because the smoke from Canada has dissipated quite a bit.
That's funny about that, Trips. We talked about that. What was that, last Wednesday? The next day, that's when I saw it and felt it.
Yeah, that next morning, it's like, why is it so hazy outside?
Man,
go outside and it's like, what's burning? And why can't I breathe?
I gotta stop smoking weed in the forest, man. I swear.
Man. It went across, I don't forget how many states, but it was
right down to Florida, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it affected a a lot of plans that people had outside is like, yeah, all that shit's canceled, because there's no breathing today. So, in the middle of summer, I don't know if people had plans outside, but they got upended.
I'll give you tell you how strong it was. No, I cut grass normally with a mask on, man, because my allergies get not allergies, but my sinus get to acting up on me. It's a bad day. But I did this. I went over to my mother's house because the whole time I was gone, nobody did nothing over there. So I went over there, her new house. I went over there and knocked that down. And man, I was so freaking tired. It was hot that day. It was really hot that day now. But I sweat like that normally on a day like that. It's normal for me, ain't no big deal. I get home that night, or not long after that, about a couple hours after that, I snack on something. Next thing you know, I'm doing some work for this show. And next thing you know, I'm looking at my eyelids, and my girlfriend said I was down for about an hour and a half. I haven't took a nap in damn near a decade. I'm serious, man. It's been that long since I took a nap. But that shit, it was something in that smoke, because it knocked me flat ass out. I was fatigued. What up, Joseph?
Hey, Joseph.
What up, Joseph?
But yeah, man, that never happens to me, man. She said, I just left you alone, closed the door, and just let you go. I was down for about an hour and a half. That just don't happen. But that's post out there in that smoke.
Yeah, because your body's not getting that oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're working out there too, man. You're working in a sort of oxygen deprived situation. But man, I got up that morning when I went outside to water my plants and stuff. I looked up at the sun, and the sun was like bright orange, and like it was just the weirdest. The sky was pretty hazy and dark, but bright orange was the sun. So I went in and did my work thing, and then I caught the message from Trip, and Trip sent us a little message there about the forest fires and all that. And as I'm scrolling, I catch this one picture, man, and further up north, it was like the entire sky was orange, which is pretty crazy. I never seen nothing like that before, but it was a little bit of a wild week with respect to that whole forest fire situation. And I'll say it one more time. It don't make no sense to me. This is a very lush, wet, precipitous area, if you will. Lots of, regular rain. It's, the ground is generally wet. It doesn't I don't think anybody would say for any purpose that this area of the world is quote unquote dry. It's not. So to think that forest fires are happening here, to me, it's fucking crazy. Out west coast Canada, yeah, it's dry. You get desert out there for sure. And again, the California fires, a lot of that also happens in BC, and you'll even catch it in Alberta too. So that's much, much, much further west than where I am. Northern Ontario.
Hey, you know what's interesting about what you're saying, Kez, is for the first time I really got some interesting views of what it looks like, because it turns out that where you were at was kind of a hot spot, and saw some interesting videos. And it is very marshy and wet looking around there. And I don't know, man. I try not to bend down a conspiracy rabbit hole too often, but there's something about this shit feels intentional.
Man, like I said, I wish I could argue with that particular sentiment. It doesn't make. I've lived here my whole life. There are two things I ain't never seen in this region of the world, and the first one is a tornado. We get tornadoes now, y'all. I don't know what's going on. The second one is, and I'm in a valley, and just the general understanding of a tornado is that it would sit on top of the valley. It's coming down into the valley. Just weird shit, y'all. That's just I never heard of that before. And the second one is these forest fires. Never seen that for the multiple decades that I've been in this general region. All of a sudden, these last few years, forest fires on a yearly basis. Wataguan, as my Jamaican
I
brethren.
was, I
You
was
know, but that's the scary part because forest fires consume a lot of timber real fast,
Mhm.
and it takes years
To
to
bring it back.
replenish that.
Well, like if you ever had the opportunity to take a trip down here, you would see that we will never be. I don't care how much
Well,
shit burns. We will never be in any sort of shortage of timber or wood. Like once you leave this, even the city is there's sort of protected areas in most cities where there's a fair amount of forestry. I would say like the Toronto area is probably the most lacking of
that's because it's the cement.
yeah,
That's the only reason.
there's a lot more cement
but
out there in
eventually,
Toronto.
enough fires. Eventually, it's gonna be like shit. We running low on trees, and it's
No,
gonna take a while for them to grow.
Hey, Trip, you really should go take a look at, see if you can find some videos on, the look and feel of Ontario. You'll know exactly what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, it's very vast, but it's not
Lush too, man.
Yeah,
And
but it's
super
not.
lush out here, man. You'd be surprised.
It's not uninterrupted. There's a limit to it. If you count the trees, there's however many millions or billions. There's that number.
You burn it all down, it's a problem. Like you're
You know
still
what I mean?
it's fine.
And it's gonna take a while to grow. Them shits back.
Yeah.
So forestry, for people who unfamiliar with biology and how that shit works, it's oxygen. It's to make a long story short, a lot of oxygenated, atmospheres come from that part of the world. It's very green in Canada, man. Very,
now,
very.
question though, Matt, what's gonna happen to our breathable oxygen? If trees keep burning up.
Well, here's the other way of looking at it. You're so bang on. So what's funny and what people complain about here in Canada very frequently is how a lot of the green initiatives that we put into place just don't make sense. You know what I mean? Like we've got a carbon tax, and I know we've talked about that in short here before. I could get into what it really is, but like that's another show. That's a Wednesday show. You know what I'm saying? But in any event, the amount of oxygen that we support from like that we provide to the planet Earth, Canada as a whole, is like it's an astronomical number because there's so much forestry between the East Coast to the West Coast that is protected area. On top of that, so much forestry on the reservation for all of the Native Canadians here as well. It's it's wild that we would really stop and go, hey, like we're really bad with respect to pollution, so we should do this, that, and the third in regards to pollution. Well, what we do is we keep forests everywhere. Like there's mad forests, y'all. Like I wish I was BSing you, but where I just, not this house here, but the project I was living in before with my kids and my woman, just across the street from where we're, like, our house is here, the street's right beside our house. On the other side of the street is a full-on forest. At this point, they've now torn the entire forest down, and it's all houses now. And now coyotes and raccoons and skunks and you name it are now sort of fending for themselves, trying to find new places to go. But man, like there's forest everywhere. It's crazy.
I can understand by looking at where you live at and how wet it looks and marshy, why you complain about mosquitoes. I can see the mosquitoes.
It's
huge.
It's swampland. So like the from a construction perspective, it is the same type of land as you would find in Florida, and same amount of mosquitoes you would find in Florida, you would find here too.
And
Very
guess
similar.
what? Florida is going through its own wildfires as we
No
speak.
way.
Yeah.
Crazy now. Like at least I could slightly understand it's a very warm climate over there. So like
very humid.
You know what I'm saying? Very, like it's brutal humid over here too, man. So even then, I don't know.
Dog, I look at where you live at and the environment around where you live at, and in all Canada, period, you know, besides Toronto.
Yeah.
And it's what nature intended for nature to be. You know what I mean? You got places like that. You got places like Oregon is very much so like that. Washington State is very much like that. Very, very natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to protect that, it's taking a lot of, you know, politicians have to go through certain things to keep that protected. And now with the weather changing and being so severe these days, now you see why people have been going above and beyond to try to protect these things, man, because it can get bad out there, man. And, you know, you're talking about, I live in a valley. I don't live right in Chicago. I've said that a million times, but where I live at is a dip. It's a valley. And, you know, we don't really get tornadoes ever in my life. This is I've seen 2 tornadoes here that I've never seen in my whole damn life.
I bet you it's in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last 2 years.
Okay, there you go. Like real talk for me, it's 2 years as well. And well, did they pick up scrolls? Did I answer?
Hey Canada, how you doing?
What's cracking, Canada? But yeah, that was one of them things that okay, so like I'll say that I failed in geography with the worst potential grade you could ever receive. But one of the things I learned in geography class was that valleys tend not to have tornadoes because, again, the tornadoes tend to form at the top of the valley and not dip into the valley itself. Like the valley will get all the remaining wind and bad weather, etc., but not the full-on tornado because it has to sort of touch the ground. And when it touches the ground, it generally touches it at the top of the valley. So
it's less oxygen. It's less oxygen in the valley than it is above on the surface. You know what I mean?
Well, the oxygen would be thinner, not in the valley, but actually at the top of the surface. You would still get oxygen down there if you have trees, right? Like it's really just a question of the trees more than anything else. But like, yeah, it's hey, what's up, True? It's crazy, man. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it makes me scratch my head and think maybe something's going on. And then you have multiple political organizations, specifically in the United States of America. I can't say this is happening in Canada, but I also can't say it's not. Many of the heads of state a couple of months back were talking about, turning off the weather machine. And I was like, what are y'all talking about?
Talking about CERN?
No, well, no. Maybe CERN. Is it CERN?
We'll just leave that alone because that's a whole conversation.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of bullshit going on.
Definitely for Wednesday. But yeah, long story short, man, it don't make no sense to me. And this is all brand new shit in this general vicinity. Like I was saying before Scrolls jumped in, out west, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Y'all, hey, man, y'all like California Scrolls, y'all were sending forest fires out in the sea from California right into BC, and we didn't call y'all. So I'm just saying what we actually did do is we were sending
to interact with them though. I seen some of that. They did have to kind of cross boundaries a little bit to help each other out.
So what was happening is Canada had sent over like they were sending planes with like foam and stuff and just dropping it on these forest fires to help fight the fire. So it's kind of crazy that, again, this is going down in this region. Out west, I get it. It makes sense because it's a fair amount more dry. But
I know one thing. I tell you how unique the weather patterns are right now. And I was in Missouri last week, of course, and I'm talking about for 6 straight days. The entire time I was there, it rained. I mean, when I say it rained, it stormed. It stormed big. And I asked somebody that was there, and I was like, is this normal? It's like, oh, no, not like this. It rains, but not like this. This is almost like somebody is dealing up a hand here. Like, that's kind of what somebody was telling me. It's like bad every day. Like, it storms bad, lightning really bad. It's just like people ducking for cover. Like, the roads will get absolutely empty for about like 30, 45 minutes. People will just duck off into Home Depot, Walmart, wherever, gas stations or wherever, and let the shit pass. I mean, the lightning was hitting, and people would after about 15 minutes, people think the coast is clear. Boom, they are back out. Next thing you know, here come another one rolling in. The whole time I was in Missouri, and so I had to ask somebody. I'm like, "Is this normal?" And it was like, "Nah, man, this is way too much." In the middle of we in the middle of July, bro.
Yeah. Go figure, man. All I know is it's a little bit odd, for lack of a better thing to say.
Yeah, if Mother Nature or the weather ain't trying to take us out, trying to eat healthy will. You know what I mean? I was going to eat a burger the other day, and I was going, you get some nice lettuce on it. I was like, no lettuce.
All right.
I want that explosive diarrhea.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I heard Taco Bell's their Taco Bell in Canada is like we get our lettuce from the United States of America, but it's fine. It's okay. Trust me.
I'll tell y'all.
Last person I'm gonna trust on the planet Earth is a Taco Bell representative. I'll
tell y'all a really, really nasty story because me and my mom had a powwow about it. Surprisingly to me, she brought up the conversation about, hey, what you got over there in the garden, and I want you to watch out for these vegetables in the store. I'm just like, I'm looking at her like, what? So she gives me the whole spiel. And I tell her, and little does she know, I've been doing a little homework on that too. So it all comes together on Wednesday night when we talk on some extra sauce. This is part of those conversations. Remember the part we were talking about the fertilizer and why the fertilizer
potash.
The shortage is because there's an ingredient that they use in the fertilizer so that they can avoid having to do certain things here in this country without it. And that's not available right now because of the war in the Middle East. And I found out, you know what they're doing? This is the nastiest shit ever.
I hear they're using human species, but I think
that's what you're about
to say.
You shut your mouth right now, Canada.
Yeah.
You're saying yeah. Okay.
So they going old school like manure.
He hit it dead in the mouth. The only thing about it, I mean, you think manure is manure and waste is waste, but no,
there's a difference.
Not human waste because
there's a difference.
I mean, our waste is toxic.
I've been on farms before, and you look at cow dung or whatever. It's natural. It's grass in it. It's the stuff that they eat. The stuff that we eat. You don't want to grow shit in that shit. That's not healthy shit. That's not healthy dung, manure. That's waste. That's poison.
Very toxic.
Oh Lord, no. And that's what. So
I didn't want to say that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to say that on Wednesday, but if we're going down that particular road, that's what I heard as well. So that's pretty wild. Pray for all y'all Americans going through that, and also having to deal with a certain operating system manufacturer potentially getting a big pass on producing artificial meats. So I don't know what's up, but be careful. Fuck it, just buy cow and get a farm of your own. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Well, I'm sure there's many shorts out, from the Wednesday night episodes of Some Extra Sauce, and included in those are some home gardens or gardens, and how to store and package meat for a long time. These doomsday scenarios, which is the name of the segment, are not all doomsday scenarios. I mean, if you just look in the last week of what we're talking about to open the show tonight, wildfires that now affect your breathing. Do you have protective breathing equipment? Do you have garbage bags and duct tape to tape up your residence to keep any toxic smoke out? If it's not trees, which is natural, if it's a chemical plant or something, you can't breathe that. You got to leave. So you have to have a escape plan and strategy, you know, where you're going to meet up with the family. The wind blow, change direction. We can't go that way now, you know. So you have to have a plan for these occurrences, you know. Buying food, not always healthy. Grow your own. So doomsday scenarios Wednesday night on some extra sauce when we get more deep and into the different situations, scenarios, and ways to survive through them. Yeah, you know, this, we're living it, baby. We're living it.
Also, too, man, I would say this. I know a lot of y'all, like, depending on where you live at, I'm sure there's some people that live in HOAs and different places like that where you got people that being real sticklers for the rules and just basically being a nuisance. Basically, I'm telling you right now, everything that we just got through saying about, you know, the kind of how they're growing produce right now, they're cutting corners and using human waste to do it, and it's kind of scary to go to the store and get vegetables. I'm telling you right now, blow right on through city, state, HOA rules, blow right through that shit right now and do what you got to do for yourself. You'll blow right on through that shit.
As if that wasn't the modus operandi, anyways. But I mean,
that's not the modus.
Well, but what happens is, you know,
you don't even know.
But the Karens of the HOAs will be like, you know, this is against our charter and our lease. But then as soon as it's like, oh, wait, you got a beautiful garden. Can I get, you know, a couple of those tomatoes? Like, no.
I could, as nice as those locations are, I could never live in an HOA.
Don't do it. Don't.
I'm just saying, like, I've never heard rules. I've never heard a positive scoped story come out of an HOA to this day. It doesn't matter who you are. My previous boss had a whole bunch of troubles with her HOA, and she's got bank, yo. Like, she was driving a brand spanking new Porsche with a like $150,000 trailer on behind it, and most of the time she's just rolling out camping in locations in that trailer with a Porsche. And I'm like, you got a trailer attached to a Porsche, yo, for sure you have bank. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing very well, and they're being sticklers with you. Damn. Okay.
Dog, yeah, I lived in an HOA where Tupac's mom had a home, Richard Dent had a home, the engineer from Public Enemy's Records had a home, and several other. But those are the three they had. I got a brochure.
Was it Sadler? I know I always ask you,
those are producers. This guy's an engineer. I get you know, a brochure when they giving me a schedule, when they have HOA meetings and the standards and all this stuff. When I get out there, they're showing, you know, pictures of the people that live in this neighborhood, and it's kind of inviting. It's like, okay, I want to be a part of this. No, you don't. So I go to the first HOA. None of those people are there. None of them. But it's a bunch of stiff, stuffy. I'm just like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. I don't know how we got to this point as humans. You understand the premise, right? You understand the premise. We need to keep this property looking this way and have this type of feel so that when people come through here, our property values stay at this. You understand that part of it. It goes too far.
I couldn't personally sign up to have other people tell me what the fuck to do. Is just, you know what I mean? Like, I already live in that existence at the office. I don't want to have to come home to that. You know what I mean? I want to be able to do what I want to do at my crib, you know, at my own peril, or whatever you want to call it, like, or positive gain, whatever that is. I want to be able to I want to be free to be able to enjoy that and not have other people. Like I told you on Wednesday, man, my neighbor came over and was trying to, like, oh, you got that couch out. Like, well, what do you put? Hey, like, mind your damn business. I'm doing what the hell I'm doing.
You know what it is most of the time, Scrolls and kids? It's usually a neighborhood where people forget they don't know how to be human. You know, they are not necessarily. They're all about how much am I worth? How much is everything around me worth? And I want to keep my worth. And there's no human about that.
I almost can't argue with that at the same time.
I can tell you why it's fucked up. More times than not, it's some guy that's got probably a 6-figure salary, he's damn near a millionaire or over. And there's a woman running around there that ain't got shit to fucking do all goddamn day.
You nailed it. I wish you were wrong about that assessment, but you nailed it like you wouldn't believe. The one that was the funniest for me, and I felt so bad, and it was my coworker at the time. She's in sales, and she was making good money, man. So she'd been selling for a little while, a couple of years. She's doing well, so she goes and she buys a new spot in this HOA area. And she gets the crib set up. She invites us all over to the crib for a barbecue. Everything's good. We get to the spot. And we're like, oh, Kelly, you don't have a fence up for your backyard. When you putting your fence up and stuff? Just because it was like everything else in and around the crib was already, really done up and done well in the short time that she had just getting to this new location. So she was like, oh yeah, no, like I'm getting my fence. It's on order. It should be here next week. But she's like, I just moved in, wanted to have everybody over. So I was like, cool. So Kelly gets the fence up. Fence goes up. She spends in and around like 10 grand, if not a little bit more, to get a really nice fence put up, a high fence and all that. So I had to stop by her crib. And she's like, oh yeah, I got my fence up. Come take a look. So I go back, I check out her fence, but the backyard looks crisp now. It looks really nice, man. So I go about my business. I get back to the office. She comes in the office the next day, pissed off. And I'm like, what's with you? She goes, would you believe that I have to tear down the entire fence at my own expense and put up a new fence because it doesn't match the other fences around me? I have to have the same fence as my neighbor, but your fence was taller and it was like nicer. It was like a nice dark oak. It was a really nice fence. She's like, yeah, I liked it. That's why I bought it. They don't like it. I got to get rid of my fence. And she was out 10 solid grand. Whoever sold her the fence was laughing because they're up like 25 grand now, like guaranteed 25 grand. Yeah, oh, sure, we'll take it down and we'll put up the new one. No problem, lady. You know what I mean? But this is the type of stuff you run into because of that HOA situation. We have to do what is recommended that be done. And she wouldn't have even really known. She just moved in. Yeah, she signed the HOA agreement and all that, but she didn't really.
Did she not
read? She really didn't read the HOA agreement. But there she goes.
Bro, let me tell you, the highlight of these people's day would be getting away with drinking a whole bottle of Moscato in the morning, taking their ass and dropping their kids off at school. Got away with that again. Going to their fucking yoga class or they fucking what do you call it? Spinning class.
Spinning.
They still in them stinking ass yoga pants when they go to Costco.
Lemons. Well, I like me some
when they go to Costco and waste about $700 to $800.
Okay.
On just random shit. That would be the highlight of their day. They still in them stank ass yoga pants and they riding through the neighborhood, gossiping with some motherfucker on the phone about this person, that person
too high.
And they ride past Kez's house and his grass is a little bit too high for her.
What the fuck?
What happened now? Now I got to get my stinking ass
Mr. Keds,
out of my Range Rover and come over here and police you. And with my stinking ass yoga pants,
tripping. My
little vest on and my camera phone, I'm gonna rule the world.
Get snatched up in this.
I'm drunk as hell because I stopped at the store before I got to Kids' house and got me another thing of wine.
Fall up.
There's more of these people, man.
Can't stand you.
Drunk driving all day, every day, from beginning to end.
You don't understand. I run this place.
Man, I have the realest story around this stuff, but I'm gonna save it for a Wednesday in the future. But I mean, like, it's a real good one, man. I'll save it for another time. Maybe we can. You got your 30. What it do, Ron? You got
30. Cool.
Man,
Oh man.
dog, I will never do that again ever. I
Oh,
understand why people get away from people. Because
Good.
most of those people that go off grid and move to
Solitude.
some isolated location.
Fortress
Just
Hub.
they just met Karen and had to deal with that for like 12 years.
That's all.
You know,
That's all the reason to go
they
out.
lock
And
you up if you choke them out. They don't allow that by law.
Oh, that's not permitted.
No,
Oh,
it's understood,
that's
but it's not permitted.
that's frowned upon and in the HOA agreement. They
Yeah,
shadow.
there's a clause or
There's a
stipulation or
clause.
some shit.
That makes
I had
perfect.
two of them trying to double team me about my grass. They came up my driveway. I was like, "Hey, come on, ain't nobody invite you on my fucking property.
Yeah, back off.
Get your ass in your car and go home."
Then you see that sign that said "Beware dog." Well, I'm the dog, bitches.
Hey, I got that sign that said, "Hey, fuck the dog, beware the owner, because the owner is a shooter."
Oh, is it
damn.
protected by 357?
Shit, man, them motherfuckers was scared of me, man, because I ain't mess with them after that first. I had never been around the HOA. I had never experienced that whatsoever. I was going in there totally green, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I didn't even that shit lasted about hour, and they said about an hour and 45 minutes. I didn't get 25, 35 minutes into that. I was done with it. I just got up in front of everybody and just walked the hell out. And they knew I was going to be a problem right then and there.
Right, y'all tripping.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna partake in this sham.
And it's like, what we doing in here?
I'm going to barbecue. I hope y'all enjoy the smell.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, sir, Mr. Nomad. We don't approve coal
Leave a
barbecues
message
in
at
this.
the gate. Beep.
You're only permitted to use gas, Mr. Nomad.
You're only permitted to kiss my left cheek.
They're gonna tell me I can only wash my vehicles in the driveway in a certain time span. So you got from
So after 6:30, Mr. Nomad, you're not permitted to clean your vehicle.
It was like 11:30 to like 4:30 or some shit like that. I don't know.
Washing hours.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
we'll have to take that up with the HOA manager.
We voted on this. We have a board, a committee.
Yeah, we'll vote and see if you receive any demerits.
And demerits.
Yeah,
ridiculous,
But
man.
you kiss my ass.
Anyway, man, we was talking about music. This just to cap off this conversation, just a roundabout. We were talking about music before the show, and we was talking about Wu-Tang. I just want to say something, man. One of the best artists that ever lived, especially in the hip hop R&B genre, is a fucking female.
is who?
Is a female. In the hip hop R&B genre, is a female. And she's so,
Mary J. Blige.
no, hell no. Mary J. Blige can't hold a candle to this.
Well,
it's fucking Lauryn Hill.
Oh,
She's so dope. I mean, I'm talking about not only as an artist, but as an individual. And you know, some of the interviews I've seen like real life interviews where she was on camera, and I've seen other ones where she was just at a location, somebody pulled out a phone and recorded her. Lauryn Hill is the real deal. She walked away from the million. She's like that story Dave Chappelle tells in his comedy stand-up when
this is true.
they offered him all this money and he had to make a decision to either become that thing that you always fretted or walk away from this.
Yep.
And Lauryn Hill walked away from it like as Dave Chappelle did. And I just commend her. She just a great artist that don't never really get the like one of the greatest ever and don't get the recognition for it.
So
one time
the only reason I don't like vehemently agree with you is personally, I just need one more album out of her. That's all.
So that don't let that get in the way of you giving that girl her flowers, man.
No, I do. I do because like the two Fugees albums, what she did on them is it's like it's spectacular. Like she easily carried the other two guys, like she did. Bar none, I'll say that to Wyclef Jean's face. But
what you said, kids? Now wait a minute.
I'll be
What'd you
gone
say?
to November.
I said she carried those 2 Fuji albums.
Oh yeah.
Carried the other 2 brothers. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, her solo album, fantastic from front to back.
Misadventures of Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, she really went and stepped outside of hip hop and back in. She really did some like, I won't call it experimental, but she definitely had broad horizons on that album, and I respect the whole thing. But I just wanted her to I needed one more, me personally, where she came back to a little bit more traditional MC Lauryn Hill / singer. That was just me, you know. That's my little 2 cents on it.
Kids, I know why that didn't happen. Now I know why.
I'm actually very, very aware as well. And yeah, I kind of agree with her too. So like, no pressure and no argument. But you know, personally, I really wanted another. I wanted another Lauryn Hill album, man.
But the bad part is, well, I don't know, bad, but she's so young, you know, to not have another follow-up album or whatever. And then her record of, you know, showing up, not showing up, you know, showing up late for shows.
That didn't help.
You know, and it's a continuing thing to this day. And that's been decades.
Yeah.
You know,
she
so
liked that, though.
She's kind of tarnished her rep a little bit.
It didn't help.
Pissed off a lot of people who, you know, made plans to go to her shows, and it's like not feeling it for whatever reason, you know. And it's, you know, where you got like old heads, you know, still in the game, putting out stuff and touring and everything. And, you know, she just kind of came in hot and kind of like a comment and kind of fizzled. And it's kind of like, oh, she's at, you know, this oldies venue if she shows up.
I'll tell you one of the more interesting, you might want to Google this if you want to, but one of the more interesting, I didn't hear and you know, back and forth between her and Michael, but it said that, so basically what they were trying to do is turn her into a little black Barbie doll, just like almost like a cartoon figure, like they turned Michael Jackson into. Michael Jackson turned into a cartoon person. He was just mythical with his presence, and they was heading down that road with Lauryn Hill. And word is that Michael Jackson got to her and told her, like, Lauryn, you don't want to go down this road. And she already had that in her, and to begin with, they was going to turn her into a strictly commercial artist, making nothing but commercial music. And if you can remember that record at the time, there was commercial music in it. If you want to say it was commercial, you know, it was singing stuff in there. So people call that commercial. I think that was just Lauryn Hill in the songs that she can think of. But she was very much a street individual. And trying to take a street individual with that kind of mindset and talking about putting this kind of money behind her, that kind of money behind her, not only is it money, it also comes handlers. When it comes to handlers, then that explains a whole lot of, you know, like later on after that record, as that record continued to progress, why she was late to stuff and why she didn't want to do certain things. Like, this is all Hollywood stuff that people don't see on the surface. Like us as consumers, we just hear, oh, Lauryn Hill didn't show up here, or she was late for that. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, but this was like last month.
Trying to do to her. what the industry was trying to do to her. What'd you say, Trip?
I said this was like last month.
Yeah, she'd be like that though. I gotta laugh because he's not lying. This, like, that type of stuff happened quite frequently towards the end of her career, including a couple of Fuji's you know, like reunited situations where it was like, hey, we're advertising everybody, and she just, she's on the bill, she's on the pay, like she probably got paid, just never showed up. Happened a few times, but he's right. She just recently did something, and just decided not to. Did she show up? Trip? Like, was she late? Was it that she was late, or she just didn't show up at all?
Well, pick one.
Pick one. It was like one or the other.
Because they schedule things. She's late to some. She doesn't show up to others. It's a continuing thing.
Take the macro view first, and what we know to be true about the industry and who runs the industry.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The people that put the money behind everything in the industry. Know that from a macro perspective. We know who those people are. And then you bring it on down, you narrow it down to a micro perspective. Now you understand, like don't nobody want to deal with them folks no more. Don't nobody. It's always going to be there's some people that are totally sold on it. This is what it is, and it is what it is, and they're just going to go do what they got to do. And then some people that take umbrage with it. And so I'm never going to piss on somebody that feels a certain way about who is directing this shit behind the curtain. You know what I mean? So who am I to criticize anybody for that? She's taking a stance. And I just appreciate her for taking that stance, because somebody needs to that's in that position.
Well, let's see. True Pilgrim saying they tried to do the same thing with D'Angelo. He was on his way to becoming the biggest artist in the world, but he became a recluse. Well, didn't he get cancer?
No.
Didn't that kind of derail his career?
Is D'Angelo dead?
Yeah, he passed last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he had a kid with somebody else famous. I can't remember, another singer, actress, or something.
Oh, word! I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he passed away. So I think right when he was getting hot, he may have had some friction with the industry as well. But he had health issues.
It's funny.
That artist he's talking about is Angie Stone, and she's also passed.
Angie Stone, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, she passed as well. So like their kid is.
Oh, really? Oh, that's terrible. They were pretty young, man.
Yeah.
There's some suspicion surrounding it. I'll tell you that.
That's not. I didn't realize that. Back to
thanks, Mark. Thanks, Red Baron, Angie Stone.
Back to El Boogie. She's married to, if I'm correct, Stephen Marley. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, is one of those Marley boys.
I think it's either Rohan or Stephen.
Rohan.
It's Rohan. Okay. And
that's right. Angie Stone was in her tour bus accident.
Damn.
Tour van or bus. Tour vehicle.
She was in a vehicle. She was no, I take that back. It might have been a cargo tour bus. Yeah, it was suspicious, man. And a lot of people ain't feeling good about that. She was going from show to show, traveling, and finished the show, got up, and was heading to the next state to go do another one, and it happened.
Didn't make it.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a whole. Trust me, she was reluctant to come out about how she was being basically pilfered from an industry standpoint about her money. She got a lot of points that when she didn't get, she was writing a lot of stuff for a lot of people in the industry. Not only is she a great singer, but she wrote and penned a lot of songs behind the production and the vocal arrangements for a lot of stuff major artists are singing right now, getting a whole lot of money for, and she wanted her cut. And all of a sudden, boom, now she's gone.
Oh, damn. So one of my office hours are kind of things.
I want more.
Don't worry about my books and my royalties.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, the thing is, but you can't put it past none of those bastards, because we all know how they get down and have been getting down for decades. Party like a rock star has its own connotations and meanings. And, that's what it is. And so, them doing some shadiness to pocket a few extra greenbacks. Oh, yeah, that's totally in their lane.
Another interesting, talking about D'Angelo, I seen another interview with Raphael Sadiq from Tony.
He's one of my favorites, man.
Raphael Sadiq's dope.
He's super dope.
And he was talking about, he told D'Angelo early off, he was just like, man, this right here, he had already been bought, sold, and he was going to be in the industry with his flaws or not. He was just going to do that shit. and he decided that I'm going to roll with the punches and adjust myself to the industry. And he saw what kind of person D'Angelo was. And it's an interview out there. You can follow my words and go look for it yourself.
No, don't they have a song together? Them two?
Songs together. They co-produce a lot of stuff together.
Shit,
They did.
I think they got a real dope.
No. Now, Raphael Sadiq was a part of a group. Not only Tony, but he left and became a member of. I can't think of the name. Somebody help me with that.
Man, I have it on the tip of my tongue. I'm just can't. It just fell out of my head now that you're asking. But it's the group is with Ali Shaheed Muhammad.
Yeah, I want to dance with you. I want to.
Fuck, that was not an invitation for you to sing it.
It's Lucy Pearl.
Lucy Pearl with Dawn, and like just considering what we're talking about.
Happy anniversary.
Dawn disappeared too. Dawn from En Vogue, she was part of that group. She more or less became a recluse right after that Lucy Pearl album. Raph did his solo joint just after that, but I think that was the end for Raphael Sadiq. Him and D'Angelo collaborated, I think, on one song on Raphael's album, and then another song on D'Angelo's album, if I'm correct. And then both of them kind of became recluses, along with Dawn as well. Just weird, like those three artists right there.
It ain't weird to me no more. I understand why it happens. You know, I'll give you guys another fun fact right quick.
Well, but is it becoming reclusive? Like whatever happened to Johnny Kemp? You know, or they just one hit wonder.
He just got paid, bro.
And dipped.
There.
He just got paid.
Friday night. A little fun fact. So, if any of you guys ever listened to the Life soundtrack with Eddie Murphy, the movie Life?
I realized there was a soundtrack.
Ever listened to that soundtrack?
No, I can't say that I have, but
there's a couple of hits on there. There's a couple of hits. The two that stick out to me is one with Casey and JoJo. It's called Life. Great hit. The other one was Maxwell, Fortunate.
Oh, you know what? That brother can sing, but I can't get rid of him because he cheated on Halle Berry, and there's something wrong with his head.
Okay. But either way, I wanted to say that I don't know if y'all knew this, but R. Kelly did the score for that movie and the soundtrack. Well, he supervised it. And, you know, he did a lot of production on that. Did y'all know that?
No, I didn't.
What I'm getting at is I listened to some of those songs on there. But Fortunate in particular, that's a huge hit for D'Angelo. Wherever he goes, he's gonna have to sing that song on stage. R. Kelly had to talk him into taking that song because he wanted the song that Casey and JoJo was singing on called Life. He wanted that one. He sonically, I guess it sounded like something that he wanted to do. And R. Kelly, it took him a while to break Maxwell down to accept this song as his. And I saw an interview that R. Kelly did. He was just like, if it wouldn't have worked, that was going to be a #1 hit on my record because everybody was telling me, don't get that shit to Maxwell. This is a hit. And he was just like, nah, I can't do that, man, because they asked me to do this soundtrack and I got to make it the best I can make it. This is going to be a hit for him. And sure enough, that song, Fortunate, if you listen to it, you can hear R. Kelly singing this. You can definitely hear R. Kelly singing it.
Okay, we got to get to some football because now somehow we're into R. Kelly, and I'm just
trying to get to the hour mark.
Look, bro. Okay, cool. I'm just we got 1 minute to go. I'm just saying that brother's he's one of my favorite artists of all time. I really have to say it, man, out loud, and it's real sad that he got himself into what he got himself into. Man.
Top R&B guy of a generation.
I was really turning a whole new leaf over for R. Kelly, man, at the end of it, because I'm much more of a hip hop head slash reggae and even rock than I am R&B at this point, as much as I appreciate R&B. But he was slowly pulling me back over to that R&B side because everything he was doing was just dope, bro. Like it just was. But hey, mess around, shit happens.
We got you covered right now, Levante. We got it. And
see, Levante, you right on time.
Yeah. So I just
Right
wanted
on
to look at Scrolls. He said R. Kelly's a legend. He didn't do anything wrong. He was set up by that one chick's parents. I don't try not to trivialize the whole thing, Scrolls. I swear to God, man. It's nothing for me to understand that, you know, sometimes this stuff happens to people that somebody has a vendetta against. And R. Kelly could very well be innocent of a lot of this stuff, but you know, it is what it is.
Mark Wallace said, yeah, okay. Look, I don't, like I say, I can't even get into any of that. I am not qualified to speak on any of it. So all I can say is I really love that man's music. His music is dope. I feel fucked up when I put his music on. And that's terrible because I really, there's some tracks, man. There's some of his tracks that I'm just like, these are bangers, and I love singing them. But well,
Yeah, it's either way, man. I don't like the whole story because I know there's a whole bunch of shit that's inserted into that whole case and his story, but there's probably some shit that's probably true, and
that don't help, Mark.
You know,
it's a thing, man. It's a thing. I can't, like I said, I am not qualified.
All right. Well, we'll leave that alone because that is a sticky conversation. You can be at a barbecue at somebody's backyard. That should have caused a motherfucking ruckus right there talking about R. Kelly.
You know what? You damn straight. You bring this man's name up at the barbecue and at the cookout, man, and I guarantee you everybody yelling.
Imagine being in Chicago and that shit going on.
Oh, damn. Even worse. Chicago barbecue? Oh, for sure. Maybe a fist fight might break out.
The people, as soon as that shit comes out, somebody's gonna be somebody. Hey, don't even start that shit. Don't start that shit. That's what's gonna happen. Somebody gonna be, hey man, don't start that, because they know what's about to go down. Them motherfuckers will get into it about that shit.
And I do not blame him, man. Like I say, his music was something else, man. You can't speak ill of Rob in Chicago. Like, I'm with you, man. And I will not do it on this show either. I will not.
He is the most talented artist to ever come out of the city. And people will argue about that because a lot of talented motherfuckers came out of
There's a lot of talent come out of your spot, man. But yeah,
that's why I always go with it. Whenever I see that happening at the barbecue kids, I take it there. So people can start talking about Mavis,
Mavis Staples,
and
Staple singers,
all the other talented people that came in and out of here, the blues people, all kind of rappers, and not rappers.
Yo, she was bad.
R&B singer.
Bad, man.
That's how you neutralize that whole argument about what R. Kelly did or didn't do. You go right to the conversation about might be the best, artist that ever came out of the city. And
but the sad thing is because he's so damn talented. I remember back in the day, he would be singing in the subway. You know what I mean? And just during random hours. And then, he got with public announcement and it's like, oh yeah, that dude from the subway. I remember him. And then, now I Believe I Can Fly and all this stuff. And he's big star in 12 Play. 12 Play was my shit, isn't it? And then, his You Digs. But he's still, for what he was able to do singing wise, production wise, concept wise, with the whole In the Closet thing, he talented brother, just issues.
Just flawed. And every time I brought it up, y'all, every time Shaka Khan's gonna come up and Quincy Jones.
Let me rock a Shaka Khan.
Well, Quincy Jones is the only individual that I would say, yeah, I made a mistake. Quincy Jones is more talented than all of them.
Wow.
All you gotta do is look at that resume.
No, like different things.
The resume, you can't argue with that.
No. His fingerprints are on many, many, many things, but it's not.
He's got production, writing, instrument playing on his credit.
You're right. You're right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, resume is untouchable, but we're talking about just You know what I mean? We're kind of talking about.
We're living in now. Quincy Jones, most of his stuff happened when we was.
I mean, I would throw Shaka in there. I would throw like Mavis Staples. Like Mavis Staples is a she's bad, bro.
Yeah,
Nobody could take that away from Mavis Staple, man. There's a lot. There's a lot of tunes there that if you went back and listened that Mavis was on, and her singing was something else, bro. Like
I mean, we can wax poetic about all these brothers and sisters, but they all try, to do what they do. But do I do? Who do I do, kids?
Hey, kid.
Little Stevie Wonder.
Hey, Trip.
Huh? I miss you.
People like us claim the Jacksons too, even though they living in Gary. If you know what Gary
is, that's like Chicagoland area.
It is Chicago area.
Metro.
Yeah.
What up, King?
They claim the Jacksons, so that goes into the conversation every time people get to drinking. Especially the older people.
Damn.
So you got that going on, but man, that can be a deep ass conversation.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say I'd love to be the cookout in Chicago to have this.
You're gonna be in a cookout in Chicago with some old heads. Yeah. You're gonna expect to hear some Lou Rawls.
Okay, all right. The different things, but Lou Rawls is he's in there. He should be in that conversation as well.
Don't get some of that, man. There's so many people, man. It's so many people came out of here.
Shit, the Iceman, Jerry Butler,
man. Kelly Price. Oh, she ain't known, but Dave Hollister. There you go, True Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm. New school, you want to go Common and Jennifer Hudson.
Mm-hmm. There's so many people. Don't even get started talking about the Blues and Muddy Waters and all these folks. It's a whole thing, man. Chicago is so rich with musical history, man. This is a musical place if you ever want to be around one. Like, it can be totally absolute violence going on in your neighborhood. People going back and forth shooting. All you got to do is start playing some R&B music, some old R&B music, and you'll watch that whole environment just calm completely down. Just really calm down. And it's amazing. Somebody will come out and put a speaker or two out on the porch or put some surround sound out there and start jamming some oldies.
Some dusty.
Next thing you know, the whole environment is chilled. Everybody come out and you know what I mean? Next thing you know, you smell a grill get fired up. Everybody talking to each other just by way of the music. What I tell people in a nutshell is music, love, joy is how to unalive what's going on in the society right now. That's what's going to end it. Music, love, and joy. It's going to bring togetherness, man.
You can't, put Marvin Gaye on those speakers and want to do no fighting.
Nah.
When Marvin's on, it's like, hey, how y'all doing, Miss Lady? Let me help you with your groceries, Grandma. Hey, let me cut your grass for you. You want to help out the community. You want to be a part of something.
I see you in there, King. I saw you. I was just mid conversation.
What up, Levante? Represent for Donnell Jones.
Donnell Jones. Yeah, there's just so many dudes. Oh, and ladies too. But we got to move on to some Bears conversation. I can do the rest of this show.
Yeah, we could run a show on this easy, but let's talk football, y'all.
All right, let's start off where we need to start off because we had a
FGB
contract given out. You guys remember me talking on and on about what I thought this guy can bring to the table and why I thought him leaving USC and going to a pro-style offense in Louisville was going to make a huge difference for him and why I thought Ben Johnson and that offense was attracted to him.
I do remember you saying all these things, and I remember scratching my head and asking why. But all of those things being said, please continue.
Just to continue that, it paid dividends, man. We're in a pro-style offense that has to get under the center as opposed to being in the shotgun pretty much 99% of the offense or 100%. You don't really see USC quarterbacks under the center. which made sense for him to transfer to Louisville, where his coach was a pro-style offense kind of coach that ran the West Coast scheme. And it ended up paying off for him on the backside of the draft. He's an undrafted free agent, Miller Moss is, and here he is getting a 3-year contract with the Bears, and they intend on working with this cat. And I think his what he brings to the table, his skill set, is a lot like Caleb. It's a lot like Caleb. It's like he's a mixture between Caleb and Tyson Bagent. Very accurate when he throws the ball. Very lively arm, on time. And I think just a year in that system did him some good. But we're talking about a year into a system that it takes a few years to really get a grasp of. I think that's why they give him a 3-year contract, because they know it's going to take some time to really build him into the quarterback that they know he can be. It just says a lot about what they think about this kid, but it also speaks to me that, you know, Tyson Bagent probably ain't long for this roster, and we all kind of knew that going into this.
Well, if you look at the trajectory, we want Tyson Bagent to succeed because we like his grit, we like his work ethic, and you know, we're watching the kid grow up since he's been here. So with, you know, Caleb Williams, you know, being, we hope, the franchise quarterback and gonna sign an extension next year, so we expect Caleb to be starting. And we know that Case Keenum, even though he's got a contract for a few years, he's on the older side. So Tyson Bagent, you know, with his contract, is now not expendable, but, you know, maybe the odd man out because he wants to play, you know, with his career. And now you develop the Miller Moss, you know, to be the backup. So, you know, it seems as though they have a plan, you know, a long-term plan for development. And if Miller Moss, you know, fits what Ben Johnson wants, obviously he's Moss is Johnson's choice. You know, he has time to develop him, or, you know, he can chill this season. I don't know how the practice squad would work. You know, if other teams would, you know, try to poach him. I don't know how that works, you know, with Tyson Bagent and Case Keenum. So they're not keeping 4 quarterbacks on the roster on game day. So that's to be determined. But yeah, if he is a developmental piece, you know, for a backup role, cool.
Well, let me get a little piece of this. And shout out to Sharon Collins. He says he's from Louisville, and he's saying, trust me, Miller Moss is the real deal. I watched enough of his tape, and it is real on tape. He's going to be the real deal. What that says to me, though, is that, you know, all the if they give him, let's just say they give him enough reps in the preseason or not, and they put Tyson Bagent really, really on display, which is probably the plan.
There you go. Yeah.
And Tyson Bagent ends up on another team by the time his training camp is over. That makes room for Miller Moss's development.
Nailed it,
you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that was more or less exactly what I was gonna say, right? They've done a great job of developing Tyson, giving him a fair amount of opportunities to shine, and in most cases he did, right? And that's part of the reason why we really appreciate this particular player, even though, again, he's been in backup capacity the whole time. That grit that Triple R brought to the table, it's important, and we see it every time he's out there. So again, mad props to him. And let's be real, they can only kind of develop these guys for so long. They've got him in a really interesting deal that makes it super possible for them to offload Tyson Bagent and really start to focus in on developing a new guy, right? Because that's what this traditionally one of our major problems as an organization, I've been saying this forever, is just that develop talent, trade talent, get caliber returns on the developed talent, and you know, and keep rinse, wash, repeat, keep going, right? So it's just something we haven't really done very well over the course of the last 20 years. And I'll put it even that far out. As of late, things are starting to look positive. There's been a fair amount of gains in development just in the last 2.5 years. And I'm kind of interested to see what we're going to do as an organization with some of this developed talent. Tyson is very easily one of those talents that has been developed. And by all stretch of the imagination, we should give him the opportunity to start somewhere. If he has that opportunity, I'm sure we'll see decent returns. But just as important, you can't just be giving talent away. You have to recoup and re-up, and this is your re-up. His name's Miller Moss.
We'll see how that plays out, but I will give you a hot take. I'll give you a real hot take. And it might cause you to think a little bit, but I do believe that this is probably the best talent. This is the most talented quarterback room I've ever seen in Chicago. As far as talent goes, raw talent. I don't think I've ever seen from 1 to 3. We'll count 4 as Keenum, who was kind of basically controlling that room and making sure everybody's progressing. But I'm talking about from 1 to 3. I think this is the most talented group I've ever seen in Chicago.
So you're saying this is better than Justin Fields, what was it? Andy Dalton and
Red Rocket.
Yeah, Red Rocket and Nick Foles.
That's a good comparison, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a solid one. That's a solid one. So
I was gonna jokingly say the Mitch Trubisky and the Ginger Giraffe, but yeah, that one just
settle down.
You know what I mean?
We just aren't known. Why I say that is we aren't known for depth at talent at the quarterback.
Scrolls, man, in the chat, keeping it real.
I mean, but we're not known for that. So kudos to Ben Johnson and his staff, the offensive coordinator, and everybody is involved in selecting these players, man. It's a nice looking quarterback room, man. We got some talent up in there, and this is just the beginning of it. Well, and you gotta have guys that can push guys.
Really, what you gotta have is the ability to develop, and I think we have that. I think we have that in this coaching staff, this head coach, etc. And yeah, man, and like just to speak to that a little bit, and it's not in the quarterback room, but it's in the wide receiver room. We just let go of our top wide receiver for capital, and we're developing something. We developed a kid last year that we drafted last year, and we're giving him that opportunity to shine. I think we have that on the staff. And if that applies to the quarterback room as well, I'm so in, because, man, it's the most important position in the NFL on any team. And if you're able to actually draft and develop these guys, especially in the UDFA market, and then grow them and send them out into the world for profit,
buy low, sell high.
Here's the only problem I have, and it's only going to be a problem until they prove to me that it's not a problem. It's the game. It's the playmaking that DJ brought to the table. So there's going to be plays made in between the numbers, in between the minutes of the first quarter and the fourth quarter, that are going to happen during games. Those guys are going to make plays. But do we have the guy on the team that's going to make that play?
Yep.
And that's the thing that DJ brought to the table.
I love DJ Moore, but I don't love his utilization over the last 2 seasons.
I do not either.
Right, and that's exactly how I look at it. I don't think that was. I don't think it was all him.
No.
That utilization piece. I don't think it was all. I think he'll go over to Detroit and have a great. To Buffalo and have a great season. I'll put that out there as well, because I assume they will use him. But look, I think that it was more of a relationships thing than anything else, trust thing than anything else, and I think that trust was growing towards the end of last season. I'll be real about that too. because there was, y'all saw it, right? There was some just, hey man, we need to win, boom, and I got no choice but to trust you, and trust won. Won a couple of those seven games that we pulled out of a hat. But I think the relationship between Caleb and this young roster is a different thing, and I think we're going to see that this season.
But and it's also, we have to remember that last season was last season. Next season is next season. I remember, back when big hand Marty Booker was catching everything that was thrown to him. He had over 100 catches that season, and then he got hurt or something, and it was like, oh shit, who's gonna catch the ball now? Because we didn't have depth in that room. His presence was felt and missed. Whereas, DJ Warrior, great kid, but now we're looking at the receiver room is what it is. And then you throw Colston Loveland in there, we're talking about mouths to feed. And then you get the rookie Xavier Thomas and, all these other guys fighting for positions to make their own name. So next season, it'll be somebody stepping up in these roles. We don't know who it is yet because it hasn't happened yet. But it's every year, roles change, numbers change, the names on the back change, but plays happen and players play. And we got a bunch of players in this locker room right now.
And that's why I'm keeping my template open for them to fill in the blanks and color it all in for me. Because I don't see right now, it's going to come down to a time like there's a handful. When I say a handful, I'm literally counting 5 fingers on one hand. That plays that DJ made last year that we don't have the season that we had without those plays that he made. And you got to replace that.
You're right.
You got to replace that. There's going to be some guys on this team that are going to have to make plays that he's going to have to trust to throw that ball to. And that's going to come all out in the sauce. But since we're talking about Miller Moss, his attributes are really outstanding to me. You really just have to sit down and watch him in both places, both at USC and Louisville, to see the transition from being basically a shotgun quarterback 100% of the time to getting under the center and how well he functioned under the center, given he just hopped into the portal and took off. In the time that I think he played a year at USC after Caleb, and then after that, he's in the portal and he's at Louisville, and that takes a whole lot of time, takes a lot of bandwidth, it takes a whole lot of extra sitting around coaches and trying to understand what they're trying to teach you, and you have to take your hat off to Miller Moss for having the bandwidth to do it and turn himself into a professional draftable quarterback in that little time span. Caleb's only been in the league a couple of years. It's going to his third season now. So he did that in that particular time span. He would have took off with flying colors and threw for all kinds of yards at USC, but that's not really what coaches are looking for right now. They're looking for a guy that can not only get behind a center and be in shotgun and do all that, but you need to get under center in the pro style offense and be able to function. Somebody knew that in his circle and said, this is going to be the best move for you, son. You got to go somewhere where a coach teaches this. So Miller Moss, by way of that, has earned this contract here with the Bears. We have not seen what he presented to them in practices and workouts and all this kind of stuff, but obviously it was enough where he got a 3-year contract with us.
Well, like I say, I'm always for draft and develop, whether it's late round, early first, second, third rounds, or in the UDFA market, man, because I would like to think that we have that type of caliber on this new Chicago Bears coaching staff. And not only do I think we do, I really believe we do.
I'll say this to top it all off and get to the next subject. I think this was an absolute steal for Chicago. Miller Moss was a steal.
Awesome.
If he was still at USC and stayed at USC, he would have been one of the top handful of quarterbacks that came off the board. But he transferred, made himself more viable for the NFL, for NFL style offenses, and it took down his status quite a bit. But I think it's going to pay off for him in the end, because I think he's taking the long road to where he's trying to go to.
Well, this may be the best route of passage for him either way. Again, he gets to get brought up to speed by one of the NFL's best. So if that positions him correctly with what you're saying, a little bit more under center, as well as just general quarterbacking experience from USC and Louisville, I'm interested. I'm interested to see what he can put on the table. I'll also flip it and say, much along the lines of what you were saying, Nomad, I kind of don't want to see him in preseason. You know what I mean?
And I can understand it. He's going to get in there and get some dust up work.
He probably will.
I just want to make sure people understand how hard it is, and so that people understand real quick. It sounds really simple. Okay, I'm just going from shotgun quarterback to being under center and doing more play action. That sounds really simple on its face. But when you're not used to it, when you're going through all the routines of footwork and making sure you're making the right steps for each handoff, whether it's left or right, whether it's a this or whether it's a that, it's all about footwork. And to turn your back to the defense, right? You know how fast defenses adjust, kids and trips, right? Y'all know they can morph into something else completely different than what it was when you had your hand under the center. You go turn your back to go fake a handoff and turn around, and now you're looking at the defense now, and you're seeing something completely different than what you saw before. It takes a certain amount of bandwidth, a certain amount of trust and understanding to be able to go from that quarterback to the quarterback he's becoming right now. And, getting your head whipped around and, okay, what's the defense showing me now? They were looking at it too high when I got out of from under the center. Now it's a 1 high. Now you got a linebacker falling back in the coverage. What do I do with that? And so it's an understanding of defenses. It's an understanding of the pro style offense in the NFL, West Coast offenses, and all of the transition that comes with that. You got to give Miller Moss a tip of the hat for that, man, because that ain't easy.
No. This is like I said, this is a good find, and I think they'll be able to sort of turn this piece of coal into a diamond with a little bit of a little bit of Ben Johnson sprinkled on top. So that's what I'm excited about, and I think that also goes for a fair amount of other players on this roster too.
Mm-hmm. Football psycho.
Yeah,
has his thumb deep in the batter.
Since you went there, I listened to a little Lords of the Underground recently too, man.
Nice.
That's a classic.
Y'all ready to talk about some possibilities out there in the free agent market?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get to the first guy. This is Dewan Smoot, 31 years old, 6'3", 275 pounds. Interestingly, when I first started looking, I already knew what he was 2 years ago because he's been out there. He's been being talked about as a piece that can fit here for a couple years. This is before Dennis Allen got here, but he still fits in this system now that Dennis Allen is here. You had, some of these sites call him 6'3", 250. I knew that was a lie. There's no way. There's like a couple sites out there, excuse me, to have him at about 250. I was like, no way, because he's a tweener. No way he's a tweener at 250. No effing way. So you'll see him mostly take edge rusher snaps. But then after that, you'll see him kick inside on third downs and play kind of 3 technique kind of positions. He's played at least 4 or 5 years in Jacksonville. I think that's the only place he's played. He might have played at one more place since then, but I think he's only played in Jacksonville. Either way, that's the only tape that I saw. But this guy can fit. He won't be a starter here. He can be a supplementary piece, but he can bring it all to the table. Speed, the power, quickness, and just versatility along the defensive front. Dewan Smoot is one of those guys that just doesn't get a whole lot of hoorah about how good he is because he plays around a whole bunch more talent. Jacksonville, again, kids and trips, been talking about it for a long time, how talented that front is. You ain't going to hear about a guy that's good around a whole bunch of guys that are borderline great. You know what I mean? So that's where we are. This is a piece that we can put on this defensive line. And he knows he's not a starter at this point. He's a supplementary player and will accept that role.
This would be a decent addition to the D line for sure. He's been around the block for a minute, approaching 31 years old to Tripp's chagrin. The only thing that, like, it's an up and a down with respect to this particular player, just his number of snaps is a little bit weird. So from 2020 to 2022, pretty, relatively high amount of snaps, and he played very well in those scenarios. Last season, about 450 snaps, which is sort of smack in the middle of what he's been doing, and not a bad season, right? At this age, played all 17 games, 2 sacks, 23 tackles. He did pretty decent. So I mean, that's kind of the type of talent that you would want to, inject into the defensive line. I don't see him commanding a astronomical salary either. So I'm kind of interested. Again, it really has everything to do with the dollars and cents of it, but I don't think the dollars and cents will be even a deciding factor for either party. It's really, does he fit the scheme, and are they interested? I think he would. I think he'd be impactful.
So for not that, I understand that it would be, 1 year deal, or whatever. It's temporary solution, but he's been a solid player throughout his career. He's not flashy. He's just solid. And if the need arises, which I really, really, really hope it doesn't, I'm hoping that there is enough on the D line now that whoever, is on the roster is able to win the spot, so we don't have to look for a free agent, for them, for defensive line. But if we do, he's not a horrible option.
So you probably saw a downtick in the last couple of years at Jacksonville in his reps, didn't you? Kids.
Yeah, and I'm like, look, it doesn't.
I can explain that.
I kind of understand the downtick, and that's because he's become more of a rotational piece, and that works to our benefit. And why I kind of wanted to say that in 2025, even though there's a slight downtick, he still had pretty decent production. So I did say it's more of a dollars and cents thing for me. They paid him $1.5 million last year. So I think he fits the dollars and cents required.
That's like peanuts.
That's peanuts, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's small money.
He's better than the peanuts that they will be giving him if he came here.
I would. This is what I'm trying to say. Like he is better, and he at that age you kind of want to have a more of a rotational piece, especially given like the other guys that they have on this line. You want to really add him in as a rotational piece. I think it would work.
He is why you see the downtick in reps and how many times he's on the field is because they went heavy on the defensive front in the last 2 or 3 years in Jacksonville. And whether it was guys that they brought in free agency or trade, or the guy, mostly it's because of the guys that they drafted. And so that's why. That's why. It wasn't because of he couldn't get it done. They just went and tried to upgrade the talent, and they did. He's a B+ talent, if you ask me. Not A-, not C+. He's a B, probably solid B towards B+ talent.
I'll give him I'm with you, man. I won't call him a B+. I'll give him a solid B. I will give a deal for him a B+, because again, there's not a lot of money to throw around right now. He would easily fit into that money. He's a willing rotational piece, And he's also an effective one that played 17 games last year. Like he has had injuries throughout his career here and there, and that's to be reckoned with on that D line. Like, it's just the reality there. But you want to have some depth there, and I think he would be a pretty solid depth piece if they decided to reach out.
Joseph, I saw the question. I'll try to get to it when we get through these free agents. Anybody that has any questions about what's going on here, we will get to them after we get done doing these breakdowns. So keep them coming if you guys want to talk about some of that stuff. Give me the questions. We'll star them. And kids, you guys can help me out with that if you want to. If I don't see them, hit a star, and we'll try to get to them afterwards.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that's a pretty low. That question right there is pretty pregnant. But we'll get to it.
It got kids. You're right. It got kids.
It does. But yeah, this is DeJuan Smoot out of Jacksonville, tweener. That's why I say DL. He's a D lineman. He can play in between the edge rusher and D tackle, so he can bring both of those things to the table. And we know now for sure that Dennis Allen definitely covets defensive linemen that can move around a whole lot better. But that's what you have here. We got another guy. It's an unheralded guy. This is Greg Gaines, 30 years old, 6 foot, 313 pounds. To me, he's perfectly sized, perfectly suited to play in this defense, because in the interior, these are the kind of guys that Dennis Allen loves. Guys that kind of have, a little vertically challenged kind of guys that can get up under offensive linemen. He likes those guys, and then are quick off the ball. Greg Gaines, you won't hear nothing about Greg Gaines in the scheme of things when teams are tearing. You've seen Greg Gaines' work. Trust me when I tell you. You've seen his work. You just didn't know it was Greg Gaines doing it. You've seen his work. He spent, I want to say he was on that Super Bowl team with Aaron Donald when he was there with the Rams Super Bowl team. I want to say he was there then, but I'm not sure. But most of the tape I looked at is with the Bucks, and I think he's kind of been there since. This guy gets it done, whether it's at nose, whether it's at 3 technique. But this guy gets off the ball really, really quick, really, really good with his hands, and gets push and penetration at all times. Whenever he's on the field, you can feel his effect on the field. Greg Gaines is one of those role players in a defense that won't get heralded, won't get talked about, won't get invited to ESPN's shows, won't get invited to any big network unless he does something that goes viral. But that guy's going to get it done week in and week out in his supplementary role. He's a role player that can play as a starter for however many games you need him to, but this is a piece to have if you need some help along your front. He's an interior defensive lineman, so whether you see him as a nose guard or whether you see him as a 3 technique in a supplementary role, this guy can get it done.
You found two decent rotational pieces here. Very similar snap count between these two guys. He would be a great rotational piece as well. Greg Gaines, his very similar statistics as DeJuan Smoot. His 2021 and 2022 high snap count. Lots of production, obviously, again, given the snap count. But these last 3 years, the snap count has come down. He's much more of a rotational piece. He's played the better part of a 17-game season in the last 3 years. Couple of sacks here and there, and around the same amount of tackles as Smoot. Dollars and cents would be similar, give and take maybe a couple of bucks. This is another, everything that I kind of just applied to DeJuan Smoot applies here to Greg Gaines as well. He's just a little bit of a like, he might be more of a need than Smoot, right? Because he can play that nose position, and I think we need a little bit of support in that position. That's just my 2 cents. But either and or at this point, right? He fits the bill. He's a little bit younger than Smoot, a little bit. He's 29. So you could probably get him for a couple of years at a really low wallet share deal, again, $1.5 million or so, million 2.5. And away you go. You have yourself a little bit of an answer in that interior, where I think we're a little bit shy of a player from a nose tackle perspective.
You know what I love about Greg Gaines is his game. His game is oftentimes, and you don't really hear anybody say this a lot about a role player. But when he's on the field and there's a running play, even when he's in a supplementary role, he doesn't have to be the starter. They will identify him and put the double team on him. That should tell you in a nutshell how disruptive this guy can be. And the way he puts a whooping on double teams on a consistent basis, there are offensive line combinations that can move him out of the play. And you see it on tape. Like they're really good playing together. Like I can imagine center guard combination from like the Ravens that can really move him out of the way. Or, some of those teams that have really good offensive lines that got good center guard combinations that have been playing together 3, 4, 5 years, and they know how to work together. So you gotta have a group like that. Otherwise, Greg Gaines is gonna win some way or another on a running play against a double team. That's something that stood out to me, is how he continuously, on a consistent basis, wins against double teams. That's hard to do. You're talking about 700 pounds a man.
Pause. So it's cool that he is an option, because I know he's a good player. It's just the need, as long as everybody stays healthy, do we need him? But if he's still available and the need is there, I wouldn't be mad at him, for a short-term stint.
I'll answer this real quick, Levante. He says, I guess signing Kentavious Street, Neville Gallimore, and John Lynch didn't mean anything. You wasn't here at the beginning of the show. What we said at the very beginning was these are just options that are out there. Hopefully we don't need any of them. But we're just going to throw them out there so people can get an eye on them, identify who they are, what they can bring to the table. And if we need them for whatever reason, then we know exactly who we're bringing them to the team. We got some kind of a basis of who they are. And that's all this is, man. It's just talking about the guys available and what they can bring to the table. We may not see any of them, and that's a good thing, Levante. We don't need any of them. That means we got something really good going on within the depth inside Hallis Hall, and we don't need that. So just in case, that's what this segment is about. Man, any last thoughts on Greg Gaines before we move on?
No, not much. But again, a very solid rotational piece to add on if the need is there. Most importantly, at that nose position, I think we need to beef up just a little bit from a depth perspective there. And in that regard, he'd be a great look, and he would not be very pricey. What it do, Juju?
What up, Juju?
What up, Juju? Yep, we trying to hold it down, man. Just trying to make sure people know who these guys are. So if they pop up, next thing you know, Bear just signed this guy. We can have an idea on who these guys are and what they can bring to the table. Got two more guys, man. I think this guy is very interesting. This is Rayshawn Jenkins, 32 years old, 6'1", 220 pounds. When he plays, I'm looking at him playing. Number one, Rayshawn Jenkins is a ball hawk. He's just always around the ball. He's a box safety. Let's be clear about that. And one of the things we've been talking about here on the channel for months, I'm a little bit, and it's just me, I can get all of my, you can throw some of my feelings out of the window once they get on the field and they show me some things, but I don't feel like we have solid depth at safety. I think we're top heavy. I think you got 1, 2, 3 safeties between the rookie, the guy we just signed, we got in a trade or in free agency, and we have number 22, Elijah Hicks.
Cinnamon, Kobe Bryant, and Hicks.
Yep. And I think the drop off is severe from that point. I think it's pretty obvious to drop off from that point. And so unless they have plans to one of these guys that's playing corner today or is on the roster listed as a corner today, unless they have plans on putting him in camp and giving him some role at safety and he just turns up, I do think at some point we got to start looking at the safety room and the depth in there. I think that's a weak point of the roster. And so I'd like to see us 4 or 5 deep there, in my opinion. 4 or 5 deep. And we got 3, but we don't have 4 and 5 whatsoever. And I do think this is going to be a role or a spot that they may have to go out there on the market and go get somebody. And so Rayshawn Jenkins is a true box safety. He's a hitter. He's a tackler, but he's also a ball hawk. He can handle tight ends and running backs pretty well. He's very physical, very, very physical. So when you get into Rayshawn Jenkins, he's another guy. When you start talking about some of the top tier defenses in the league and, you know, teams that are out of that big team marketplace that don't get on TV a whole lot and you never really hear about them, Rayshawn Jenkins is another one of those guys that made a good Jacksonville defense sometimes really overexceed what they can be. Man, this guy's he's a player, man. Even at 32 years old, he is a real player, bro. Anything you want in a box safety, he's that.
Okay. So I'm looking at the safety room here. I think we're okay, and I don't know if we are. We don't need to have a conversation about Thieneman, Bryant, or even Cam Lewis. But what about Skylar Thomas and Anthony Johnson Jr.? Any thoughts?
That's the thing. That's the thing. These guys are going to have a good, quick learning curve, and that happens sometimes in camps. So some of these guys really show up, and they give the coaches confidence, and none of this stuff never has to happen. None of it. However, if it's a little delayed and you're not seeing what you thought you was going to be able to see at the right time, then you almost have no choice. If you consider yourself a team that can make a run at it, you got to make sure your depth is proper. I said it all last season, man. We weren't thinking about no run for the Super Bowl or nothing like that, but we ran into a situation. And that ended up being something that bled out of it, kids. You remember we was live having these conversations, and I was just like, damn, if we had better depth, we'd be better off. But now we'll see what happens in camp. You could be right about some of these rookies and young guys, man. They could show up. But if they don't, there's nothing like qualified veterans, man. There's nothing like it.
You're done straight. Rayshawn Jenkins has had a couple of badass years in the NFL. I'll tell you that right now. So I see where your head is. 2022, 2023, both seasons over 100 tackles. That's pretty wild. In 2022, he played every bloody snap on Jacksonville Jaguars. He was all over the field. 3 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, and a sack. That's a pretty wild stat line for just a couple of years removed. Now, here we get into last year. I don't know what the story is. He found his way to the Cleveland Browns last year. And as we're pretty well aware, they weren't the best football team in the NFL. Mind you, at Cleveland, played 17 games, only started 3. His snap count is down significantly Maybe their safety position is stacked.
Oh yeah, they didn't need him. He's a supplementary player at that point.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to quantify here. 277 snaps on the season, versus over 1,000 snaps in 2022, 2023. Obviously, very simply put, at a quarter of the snaps, he had about a quarter of the impact. And it almost correlates exactly. So I said over 1,000, he had over 100 tackles. At just about 250, he had 25 tackles. It correlates very, very succinctly. It's hard to say what type of impact he would have, but we're not expecting him to be a starter. So there's also that piece. So if he's coming here from a depth perspective, I'm going to have to say he's talented enough to make his impression felt. He was able to do so in short order in just 277 snaps, which again includes a forced fumble and an interception. Not bad for 277 snaps.
Yeah, he seems like a experienced veteran, good player. The obviously he would be depth here. But I don't know if this coaching staff is really looking for an older guy for depth. I think they want to develop younger guys who have more positional versatility and bring them up in the system to progress along. But being that Kobe Bryant just signed the free agent contract and Dylan Thieneman is a rookie, because behind him, Elijah Hicks just signed a 1-year deal, and then you got these other young guys trying to make a name. That room, the safety room, is one of the rooms with the least amount of not only depth but answers, let's say, because we know of 3, and then the other one is TBD. Who wants it? Who's going to earn it? And my hope still with this position group is that a young guy steps up. No relation to Manan guy, not even a cousin, but a young guy steps up and takes the position so that Jenkins isn't necessary and everybody stays healthy.
What's funny about it is his game is extremely comparable to Kobe Bryant. He's just older. Same guy, kind of. Same guy, same instinct, same ball hawking, same willingness to get in there and get dirty, same tackler. He just gets around the ball all the time. You see him anywhere around the play, there's a chance he can come down with that ball. Not only that, he can take it back for 6. He turns defense into offense really quick. And so, again, man, we talking about guys that could, if we need a guy to step up and be a player, this is a player. This is a player. If they're not comfortable with the depth in the safety room, like until I see it on the field, I'm uncomfortable with it. So that's why a player like this, really, I'm gonna keep my eye on to see if he gets scooped up within the next week or two or somewhere late during camp. I will be keeping my eyes on Rayshawn Jenkins because I do think he can upgrade this roster.
Well, I'm gonna say the obvious thing that I said already. I really hope those other 2 safeties that I brought up a little bit earlier can really step into the mold and not only be available but be effective, so we don't have to spend any more resources in the safety on the safety position. But if we do, Rayshawn Jenkins is not to be sneezed at. He's had some really, really solid seasons in the NFL, and in a low snap count backup capacity, he's been effective and would be effective on this defense too.
Man, I do have a lot of confidence in the UDFA out of Oregon State. I think he can be a player, man. I think Skylar Thomas can be a player. I think he just, quietly getting some reps, and somewhere during this process, they give him enough reps on the field. I think he can make me be quiet. I'll just say that. That's what I'm looking forward to. But
All right.
one last guy to talk about, and you guys are gonna like this. But we're just talking about possibilities here, because we kind of lacking here too. We're top heavy at this spot too, but we just don't know what the third and fourth situation could be. I'm just gonna be quiet. What do you guys think about this? But you know what? Before y'all even go, how many people besides myself watches this guy run the football? Ain't no way y'all thought this guy was less than 225, 220. I thought this guy was like 230. I had no idea he was 215. This is Kareem Hunt.
Oh, I would have thought I would have thought he was a little bit less than he runs the football hard though, mind you. Oh, I'll say some ignorant shit. Had to check myself there for a second. Look, I was all for this move a long time ago. I'm not so sure I'm really all for this move now.
He's like the third guy up. Why wouldn't you be? Do you talking about improving your running back room? If he's the third guy, and you still got a problem with that? What's wrong with you? Come on now. What are you talking about?
Who's the competition?
Salvin Ahmed is the real competition.
Salvin Ahmed, Coleman Bennett, the UDFA, and then Britton Brown.
Yeah, man. If all that shit don't work,
King Booker, don't blink too hard, because Rojo won't be on this roster in a week. Don't blink too hard, man. Johnson. Because I'm just saying he's probably not going to be on this roster. Kareem Hunt is a solid veteran to bring into the table. He runs the ball hard. He also cuts very well too. I really wouldn't have a major problem with bringing him into the fold at the running back position if they want to upgrade it. Personally, wasn't a big fan of what Britton Brown brought to the table. There's others out there who love what he brought to the table. Like I'll put that out there as well. I didn't see it. Roshan, I just don't expect to be here for very much longer, which really tightens that running back room down to Swift and Monongai, Salvin Ahmed, and Coleman Bennett, who's a name that we haven't had a big conversation about. Facts is, from what I've seen, I kind of like Coleman Bennett, and
I do too, kids. I know where you're going, but shout out to Bears and Cigars, man. He's a subscriber.
What up, BNC?
Listen,
wow, he was hurt
again. I gotta keep prefacing the whole conversation around if we need it.
If because wasn't Hunt he in Cleveland or Cincinnati in Ohio someplace recently?
He was in Cleveland. Wherever he goes, he ends up taking carry.
I think I got a booty call. Booty.
Oh nice.
Booty. Yeah, I'm tripping. So wherever he was, he always ran hard, and he's been a good player, but third running back, 30 years old, he's just kind of chilling. I don't know. I don't know that he's a timeline fit for what they want to do in that room.
If we were talking about the second running back, I'm totally on board with what y'all talking about. We're talking about the third guy. Just think about what I just said.
No, I can dig what you're saying. And then another, like now you got me thinking of other guys at this running back position now. And there is a name that I would really think about. It would take because he wouldn't be in any level of starting capacity right now, and maybe for quite some time, it would give him the ability to get back into the swing of things. There's a certain player who used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals and eventually found his way to the Houston Texans.
We talked about him a couple weeks ago.
I think that might be a guy that you sit on a bench for a little while, make sure he's up to snuff. And if he is up to snuff, he might take over the whole damn room.
Well, this is focus on Kareem Hunt for right now.
All right, sorry. Back to Kareem Hunt.
So if you think about it, how many other running backs did you see last year besides 1 and 2?
We saw Travis Homer, your favorite running back, by the way.
How often? Let's just say, give him a percentage.
Oh, you mean at the running back position?
Like
Never,
plays, like none.
never. He was in special teams.
Roshan Johnson, like
Let's keep it there. You only really saw 2 running backs the entire season, right?
Yep, thank God.
And so the third running back was just insurance. Now we're talking about when we constructing the 53 and we're starting to eliminate some spots. We ain't gonna be able to carry this. We ain't gonna be able to carry that. They had 2 guys that mainly did all the ball toting, and everybody else pretty much had a role on special teams, right? So we're talking about keeping on 53. This is a guy that probably ain't going to get the ball a whole lot unless something happens and he has to go out there and play. And so you need to have somebody qualified because it's this fat chance you might be in your hotel room Saturday night and you get a call. I don't think we're going to play this guy. And I think you might get an expanded role this week. You ready? Yeah, I guess. Put the beer down and let's go. That's what it is. In the real world, we look at it on the surface and start thinking about last year. You didn't really see a running back besides the 2 guys we had. So the third running back was kind of obsolete unless needed. And we didn't need it last year. So they're only going to run 2 guys.
Well, but see, that's, where I would prefer if that's the setup, where we mentioned the wide receiver room earlier, you keep a full complement of wide receivers, and then you put Xavier Thomas on the roster as a running back.
Yeah. I know,
as opposed to bringing in like a free agent, specific running back.
Oh, snap, Triple R.
Yeah,
that sure beats keeping a guy on the field in the running back room taking up a spot for special teams.
It keeps you young is what Triple R is trying to go. Keeps you young. Also, at the same time, it provides some other things. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things you can do with youth, but there's not.
Well, I mean, but just the weapon aspect. While Thomas is a rookie, hasn't played a down, granted, and Kareem Hunt is a veteran, but weapon-wise for Ben Johnson, who do you think he would rather have?
I think I think a veteran is very undervalued right now. That's just all I can tell you. If one of those other guys turn up to be more than what they bargained for, then this conversation is obsolete as well. And so we won't have it. But since we are in the conversation about what's available and possibilities, this is why we're having this conversation about Kareem Hunt. I think he's quality. I think we do need another physical guy. I do think we need some more speed too, but if you're given a choice, you're in a tough game, I take the physicality. I don't know what you're thinking, but I take the physicality.
I'm staring at this free agent list, and I'm like, this is not the guy I would go get.
Let's talk about Kareem right now.
I know I'm. That's why I'm not dropping any names or anything like that. I'm just. It prompted me to definitely go take a look at the list, and man, Kareem's a really good back, all around. He had his first couple of years in Kansas City, crushed it, and then. We know what happened, but he eventually found his way over to Cleveland. During that time, like I said, I kind of expected him to wind up in Chicago. I really actually did. That second tour of his, the second tour was great. He really handled the rock admirably in Cleveland. These last couple of years back in Kansas City, haven't been stellar, but it kind of is what it is in Kansas City with regards to the running back. They haven't really had You know, they haven't really had anything fantastic in that position or really even utilized that position in a little while, given Patrick Mahomes and his tenure. You know, the closest thing to that is Pacheco. He was brought in as a Pacheco replacement when Pacheco went down. And he, again, performed admirably. So I would assume that he would come here and do something similar. But again, I'm just not sure if this is the guy that I would be staring at.
Let me ask you a question, kid.
Mm-hmm.
And agree or disagree with me. Do you think when it comes to weather conditions, speed has variables?
Yes.
Okay. Given those weather conditions, I think this year is going to get kind of nasty as far as weather goes. If we can look at today's patterns right here in the middle of the summer and see kind of around the corner a little bit, the winter might get a little nasty. And guess what? If you want to win, you might have to get a little nasty. And you might have to insist on a physical run game in an outdoor stadium when you got to have it. Looking at the variables that way helps me say, you know, I say the physicality outweighs the speed deep into November, December, and moving forward late in the season. That's why I say speed is important, but speed definitely is variables attached to it as well.
Yeah, you're very right there. I get like this is in my opinion. I've been screaming for a running back for a minute, but after last season, I really like what we have back there. I do think we need to have at least one other representative in that room. I've watched Salvon Ahmed. Salvon Ahmed is a really good back, but everything you just described from a weather perspective, I'm not so sure that's got Salvon Ahmed's name on it. But what I am going to say is Coleman Bennett, I think, does address that particular case scenario. He is a rookie. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled and watch for him and his development and trajectory. To be frank, we've got a really good really good running back coach right now. He's done some really good things in Miami with old and young and old running backs across the board. He's done some really good stuff. So hopefully that is the case as well as we move forward. But for me, it's more of a does Coleman Bennett sort of pass the smell test? If so, I think we might be all right. If he doesn't pass the smell test, then perhaps you may want to look for somebody who's got a bit who gives you a little bit more north-south power run. And that sounds a bit more like Kareem Hunt.
What you thinking, Trips?
Yeah, once again, hoping he's not a necessity. But, if he is, with the way the market is now and the number of, older free agent running backs available, he wouldn't break the bank. It wouldn't be long term. And I could see, him utilized in certain, situations, or if injury comes up. So, wouldn't hate it, but still hoping it's not necessary.
Yeah, I agree as well, man. I don't want to have to go here, but we have to go here. I want a guy that I know can stay true to gravity and stay on the ground and really pound. And I got a feeling the Bears might have to get nasty if they really, really want it sometime in November, December, late in the season, and you got to get physical. You got to just sometimes football, that's when football ain't complicated offensively. When it's coming right at you and you're going to have to stop it. And you got to have the kind of weaponry to do that. I think our top two running backs are two of the best running backs in the league. That combo is nice. And, for whatever reason, running backs going to get dinged up, play in and play out. And you might not even see it. But when they get in the locker room and they start inspecting and, all right, how you going to be going into this week? We'll try to keep you low key in practice. We'll try to get you healed up. But if you can't go, you're going to need that third running back. You're going to need him. Guaranteed you will need that third running back. Just so happened this year we didn't run into that situation, but I think that's an anomaly, to be honest with you.
I think we did. I think we ran into the situation for just one game. I think Britton Brown came in and played.
Game.
I'm pretty sure it was one
season.
game.
I'm talking about late.
Yeah, because Swift was down and Britton Brown came up.
I think it was mid-season. Both of them went down. But they were both back maybe the week after. It was, a very short stint. Britton Brown had a decent game. He just didn't give you enough in any aspect of Ben Johnson's offense. For me, that would really make me sort of say, Britton Brown's the guy. Like keep Britton Brown. He just wasn't north-south enough. He wasn't pass catching enough. He wasn't shifty enough. He wasn't fast enough. He was just a little bit all those things.
Hey, I know one thing and two things for sure. This November, December, January, NFL teams are going to need running backs and linebackers. Just because of the bang-bang aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need them. And we just got lucky. If we didn't have to turn to the third running back late in the season, we just got lucky.
Yep, that's very true. Both these guys were able to sort of hold up a pretty decent season. Like I say, there are some. We are talking about football, football cycle, man. I would not be surprised if he went out and grabbed himself a running back. Just to say it, he is. You know how we're talking about Karis One being criminal minded. He's offense minded. Ben Johnson. He's just talking about that offense all day long. So I would not be surprised if he goes and finds himself another back. But again, you take a deep look at the available running backs out there on the market right now. Depending on what you're looking for, the flavors out there. There's a couple of really interesting names, including Kareem Hunt, to pay attention to.
There's a running play that I love, and it's kind of the reason why I love football, because it gets down to being this simple at times. When you got, and we don't have a fullback on the roster, but we have tight ends that can supplement that role for us on this offense and can do that job. When you have to go man for man, body for body, there's a run play that you can run. It's called ISO. You isolating a man on a man, and you just got to get body on a body, and you got to make a couple, 2-3 yards, maybe 4. And you're using your fullback as like the basically the access point to a road. And that fullback has to open up the hole for the running back to run behind. That's pretty much what an ISO play is. And you get into that formation and you're in the thickest of a game, there's only a couple minutes left, and you may have an extra series to go, but right now you got this series, and this series is your lifeline, and you got to make it happen. You run that ISO play, and everybody executes their blocks, including the fullback. It's almost an impossible play to beat, especially when the defense is tired. That's the play on defense that you hate, because 9 times out of 10, as a defensive back, you won't have no parts of this play unless that running back breaks through and
in the second level.
Yeah. And so that's where
we could see a whole lot of that with Sam Roush in the building, right?
Yeah, man. This is where Kareem Hunt can pay dividends. A guy like him, or a couple guys we got on the roster. We'll see. But I love this guy in a tight spot in big critical game moments. We know he knows what to do.
Yeah.
He's proven that. So we'll see, man. Any last thoughts on Kareem Hunt? Any thoughts, outside ideas about him? Go ahead right now is the time.
Yeah, I won't, like I said, I won't beat the horse to death. He's a super solid back. At the end of the day, he would bring a certain level that we may be losing in Roschon Johnson back to the team. But again, my opinion right now is just sort of a wait and see situation because I think we might have our Roshan Johnson replacement already on the team, and we'll see how well he plays.
All right. That does it for this part of the show, man. Any thoughts on any of the guys we talked about today? Miller Moss on down to Kareem Hunt. Any of those guys that you saw on the screen? Now's the time.
No, got it covered out then myself, but that's all you kids.
Yeah, no, it's I like what you put down, right? It scrolls your damn straight. I like what you put down here to this Sunday here, Nomad. Miller Moss is an important piece for us to keep our eye on, and I say that while I also say, we keep your ears open for potential Tyson Bagent trade. As much as we all like him in backup capacity, as well as what he could bring to the table if needed and when needed, bringing some valuable draft capital is also a good thing too. So let's keep developing these players and putting ourselves in that type of situation. And this would just be doing that all over again with a new with a new player, a new quarterback. Give Ben Johnson the opportunity to do that too. Let's turn Chicago into a quarterback factory while we're at it. Why not?
Right? Quarterback factory, wide receiver factory, offensive line factory, whatever factory we need.
Yeah.
Y'all ready to get into the thickets with the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we are. Anybody want to? Well, it's addressed to me.
I'll read it.
Anybody go ahead, man.
Nomad, what do you guys think about this? If Dennis Allen doesn't do well with this defense after this year and they let him go, how do y'all feel about the return of Lovie Smith as our DC?
Well, I'll let y'all touch that first, man. I'll answer it. I think, just to be honest with you, Joseph, I don't think there's no way in hell Lovie messes with whatever his legacy he has here in Chicago. I don't think he messes with it. Even if they actually opted to go that route, I don't think Lovie would mess with it. He's a head coach. But you talking about Dennis Allen, there's a little bit of a cloud over Dennis Allen because I don't know why. It was only his first year here, and he didn't have the pieces that he needed to make the defense what he needed it to be. I think that guy needs at least a couple years. I'm talking about drafting and putting the guys in place that he needs in order for you to see what Dennis Allen truly can bring to the table. To be honest with you, you need a couple of draft classes, and he only got one so far. And so I think he needs at least one more, and that's just my opinion, at least one more draft class, maybe another free agency roundabout, and then we can judge him, man. But it's hard for me to get on to him knowing that he hasn't had the time to assemble the guys that he needs.
Man, this is a good question because I was kind of wondering the same thing. He didn't get what, in my opinion now, I don't think he got what he needed this particular draft. I'm not sure if he got what he needed the draft before, right? So I think there's some stuff that can be done, but the flip side of Dennis Allen is just what his specialty is, and it's that back seven as opposed to the front seven. So given what we got, I think he can work with it. So we really have to give him the benefit of the doubt and see what he does this season with that defense. All that to say, yeah, it is, it's possible that maybe we move on from the DC because of this specific thing. Ben Johnson came out at some point and he said it was coaching. We need to coach them better.
Yeah.
Right.
That was just straight up calling out coaches.
Yeah. So,
and you talking about Lovie separately, kids? Lovie ain't messing with his legacy in Chicago. I think Lovie can come back here right now and be a viable candidate for mayor of the city.
Yeah. I think everybody would vote for him too. But here's the only reason why I'm like, maybe. And the maybe is that last Houston game did what? What happened that last Houston game with Lovie Smith?
Yeah, it got us number 1 pick.
Caleb Williams happened out of that situation. Lovie Smith said F the world and went deep. Won that game for no reason at all. And lost his team position in the draft and more or less gifted the Chicago Bears that position. So I'm sure some of that was conscious to some degree, maybe not necessarily where that positioning lies, but that just to say that the favor is definitely there. We definitely keep him in good mind. And I don't think he's working right now. I don't know what his job status is, but I don't believe he's a coach in the NFL. I don't believe he's a coach in the college ranks either. So, maybe he just wants to get back to doing football stuff as opposed
I think
to
he
really
might have
thinking
went
about
home to Big Sandy, Texas.
Well, I'm sure that's what he did, but like he might want to get up off that Sandy, Texas couch, and you know what I'm saying? Maybe.
Well, see, the thing is, him coming back here, it's like, going back to a old flame. It's like, yeah, there's a reason we're not together no more.
So hold on, I so agree with this analogy, but at the same time, it's like, but what if the old flame like got a lobotomy and a boob job and a butt implants?
Well, but then down the old flame is going to do better than me.
I'm just saying,
so if Lovie is the old flame in this situation, and he has the opportunity to head coach someplace, there's no way he's going to want to come back here and be a DC after being a head coach here.
So, but that's the other thing. If we want to have that conversation, I don't think Lovie Smith is going to be a head coach anywhere in the NFL ever again. He might be a head coach in the college ranks. I think that's highly possible. But we've sort of seen where head coaching for Lovie Smith, what that looks like post Chicago. And I'll be frank, he wasn't really given much to work with in any capacity. But work with it he did, and unfortunately, those situations did not pan out. And there's so many other head coaches that I could sort of compare their trajectory to Lovie Smith. And in that case, most of those guys aren't really working in head coaching, at the head coaching level in the NFL any longer. So doubtful head coach in the NFL, definite DC, high caliber DC capacity for any team, or head coach in the college ranks is sort of where I see Lovie Smith coming back. If he's coming back to football, I think he could land any of those things. But specifically for Chicago, super doubtful, right? Like, let's be real, super doubtful. Don't expect to see this. But would I be mad at it? No, I wouldn't be mad, because let's put it this way. If the previous two guys' specialty was the back seven, and now we're bringing in a guy whose specialty is the front seven, they did half the work already. He just has to do the other half.
But then that brings up the point of the other part of the question, beyond Lovie, is would Dennis Allen be on the hot seat, this year after this season? And I still think it's a little early to put him in that situation for the same thing that Ked said, because he didn't have all the players he needed to make his system work. But if they did move on from Allen after the season for whatever reason, as opposed to like bringing in somebody like a Lovie Smith, would they, just want to elevate like a Al Harris? Or do they want someone, with the experience, the older guy like Dennis Allen, to kind of bounce, to have Ben Johnson bounce ideas off, being a first-time head coach and all that, but as now Ben is garnering experience, he won't need that mentor as much for that role. He could bring in
a very interesting comment,
a
man.
quarterback coach or another experienced older guy in a different position, whereas giving the defensive coordinator position to a younger guy, up and comer, or somebody who runs the same basic system as Dennis Allen, so that the players that we've started to acquire this season and next will still fit that scheme.
That's the problem right there at the very end. You just basically got to the nuts and bolts of why that's dangerous. Because if you put money into draft capital into what we're doing in the system that we're running, and this is because the fan base and the city is they're impatient. To be honest with you, that's just the only way to say it. They're impatient, and you do just a knee-jerk response to it. You just decide because we didn't have a good year as a defense for the second year in a row, the numbers were down. Any of the reasons you would let a coordinator go. I think that's foolishness. Number one, I would just advise, don't listen to the fan base. No matter what the season looks like, give that guy some time, because what you're gonna do if you decide to abruptly let this guy go, you're gonna have to stick with this system, and that's going to be attached to the coach, whether or not you want to stay in the system or not. The capital that was invested into this defense is going to have to carry us for the next 5 years. If not, you're going to start from zero, and that's not beneficial to the coach. That's not beneficial to the young quarterback. That's not beneficial to the whole goddamn team. And so, don't be so quick to, if you're not getting the results that you're looking for in Dennis Allen's defense, to be that guy that jumps on social media. We need to get rid of this guy. It ain't as simple as getting rid of this guy and the next guy is going to come in here and fix shit.
So that's you just identified Scrolls 9190 in the chat. I'm teasing you, Scrolls, but look, I don't know. Let me phrase it like this. Sometimes you need a scapegoat. And if shit goes sideways this season because of the defense, if I'm looking for a scapegoat and I'm Ben Johnson, his initials start with DNA, right? Like that's kind of just to put that out there. I know what you're saying, Nomad, and I kind of agree with it. I think DA requires another season to really actually build out this defense in his image. I think that's really what he needs. Will he get it? All depends on the trajectory of this team this season. And if this team it does well, or at least upper mid level, playoffs plus, I don't see, I don't see Dennis Allen going anywhere. But if for some reason we're like a 5-win team, all due to defense, yeah, there will be like somebody's head may roll. And I'm saying this because, a couple of heads rolled during Matt Nagy's tenure in his year 2 when things went the opposite direction as well. So, was it Vic Fangio? No, Vic was holding things down for Matt Nagy. So it was big chunks of the offensive coaching staff. In this case, if it's defense, it might be bits and pieces of that other side. So the only reason I'm really going down this road is because of the Al Harris comment. I would like Al Harris in this capacity, except for something that the Scrolls brought up as well, and that is just play calling case scenario. I'm not I don't believe he has any experience calling plays in the NFL, and you might want to have like a more seasoned DC play calling DC scheme specific DC in that role. So as much as I'd like to retain Al Harris, because he will likely be elevated to that type of position sooner than later. To me, it's really just a question of who's calling the shots in that respect.
Last thing I would say about this is there used to be an argument that I had with people before I even did the podcast, talking about a 4-3 defense versus a 3-4 defense. And let's just say most of the NFL, I just say 65 to 70, 75% run about a 3-4 scheme. And most of those teams, they're right there at the edge of winning. Some of them win, some of them don't. But we're talking about at a time when Patrick Mahomes and his defense running a 4-3, winning Super Bowls because they have the proper guy, leading the charge. Any defense, let me just tell you, anybody that's biting the crust off the bread and kind of holding it back, saying we need to go to a 3-4 instead of a 4-3, let me just tell you, it doesn't matter what defense you're running. What matters is the players that you have running it. Having the right players makes a difference between whether this defense is functional, whether it's exceeding functional and great, and all in between. Doesn't matter what style it is. So just know that. If you got the right personnel, doesn't matter. So any of the people that's trimming the crust off the bread and want to say we need to be running a 3-4, just know, even in that 3-4, you better have the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's and Joe's and X's and O's, right? It all has to line up the right way. You need to do it either way, but you need the right personnel. So
that's why it takes time.
Yeah, and you have to build that out, right? You have to build out that roster effectively. And like I say, I think we're in year 2 of that roster build with respect to the Ben Johnson regime. I think all in all, we probably need another year really for that defense to get what it needs to do what ultimately Dennis Allen wants to do. Whether that's from a draft capacity, whether that is from just a dollars and cents capacity, with players coming and going, all the above is up in the air next year. So hopefully, again, this team does rather well, and it's not a major letdown from the defense where, you might look to, for rolling heads. So I'm pretty positive that won't be the situation. So let's hope we never see Lovie Smith again, except for at the Super Bowl when he comes to watch us win it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Joseph, he's saying 4-3 all motherfucking day long.
There you go.
Hey, we better get ready to wrap this thing up for Trips has a bean pie coma and fart attack.
No, that was pizza. Red Baron, you were inside of me.
Oh Lord, Paul's like a motherfucker.
But yeah, the bean pie, yeah, it's still happening.
Paul's like a motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about where this show is going.
Yeah, that was way wrong, didn't
it? This girls had to pause that shit too. Oh damn!
What the fuck was that?
What?
Oh snap!
What happened? All right.
Everybody paused. Levante pausing. Everybody.
What the hell just went on here?
Oh wow! All right,
man. I tell you what, man. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, man, and get ready for this is the last of the empty weeks, as people call them on the social media, with no football, and the Bears will be in training camp this time next week, for sure.
And there it is. Yeah, Joseph Archer's pausing. Look, thanks for coming out on a Sunday night to talk Bears once again. We'll be back next week doing it all over again. A little bit of Bears on Wednesday night. Catch us for some extra sauce. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe at Keds and Canuck, at Sports Chicago Style, as well as at the Nomad Network. We would love it. Leave us a comment. Find us on Twitter. Give us some love out there on social media. We would appreciate all the above. That being said, I thought the show was pretty decent tonight. We really went around the horn and sort of talked about some what-if scenarios, and I think they're all viable what-if scenarios that we should be paying a little bit of attention to as we go through the training camp process over the course of the next few weeks. Big shout out to FIFA and the World Cup for bringing us right back into the NFL season. Thank you, guys. Thanks for holding the bag. We'll take it from here. Trip?
Right on. Yeah, like Kids saying, make sure you are subscribed to all 3 channels. That the Nomad Network, Kids of Canuck, and Triple R SCS, also known as Sports Chicago Style. Search them both, you'll find them. Yeah, so that sportschicagostyle.com is done and updated. It's time to get those Bears videos rolling back as the camp is, gonna get kicking off with the rookies and such. And then we're gonna, start getting those reports and the people, lucky enough to get in the lottery and get the tickets that were available and gone within like 20-30 seconds, get those pictures and the secret videos, and it's like, ooh, so exciting. So yeah, hang out with us the entire time, and see you Wednesday on some extra sauce.
Amen to that. Just make sure you check some boxes at all 3 channels, Kids of Canuck, Sports Chicago Style, and of course over here, hit the subscribe button, please. That costs you nothing. It absolutely costs you nothing. Don't be a hater. You enjoy the content. We be over here knocking it out the park. Come on now.
Hey, Rel, I left the links in the chat there for you, man. Please give us a subscribe. We'd really appreciate that, Rel.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that, man. Thank you for that, kids. I saw that,
man.
But hey, when it comes to what we're talking about football wise, and we're talking about X's and O's, let me tell you something. As much as we love Lovie Smith, as much as we love that guy, and I love that guy to no ends, I almost stopped being a Bears fan because he was fired. That's before you guys knew who I was. It bugged me that much.
I was close to. I'm with you.
It got to me. But I hung in there. But one thing I would tell you about Lovie and why he was so successful was what we were just talking about at the very end of the show, at the very back end of the show, about whoever the defensive coordinator is, that guy needs his pieces. Lovie had his pieces. He was able to go deep into the draft, into UDFA status, and bring some guys up by way of the UDFA status. There's some guys I think about. I don't know if he was drafted, but if he was late. Danielle Manning, guys on that like that on the team that really came through for us, man. It takes time to develop those guys, even after you drafted them or didn't draft them. Those guys need time to develop. And I think the same thing is required here. Give it some time. It might just be this year before you see some of those guys turn out. This is the first year for him, but take it easy, you guys. Don't be so quick on the trigger to be wanting to jump on and pile on a guy that just got to Chicago. This is a different market for him, and he's got to produce, no doubt. But give it some time, man. Give it some time for him to put the pieces together, assemble the parts, man. That's what made Lovie successful. Lovie had time to assemble some parts, some really good ones. Some of the guys that you guys are most happy with are later round picks. You know what I mean? Just guys that they put into the system, and those guys trusted the system, and Lovie and his coaching staff went to work, and you got the results you got. And so I just encourage that. Just remember that all of this shit is about development. It's about winning, but it's about development so that you can win and win with some depth. And so that being said, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it the whole time, man. Keep it coming. Hit that subscribe button for us. That's important as hell. Hit that subscribe button for all 3 channels. We love you all, but we got to leave you all with these famous words. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.